Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What an absolute ass kicking by the Miami Heat. Before we discuss what the hell just happened tonight, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also smash the like button as well. I greatly appreciate all the support. You guys are absolutely amazing. Lastly, every Wednesday on my Twitter page at Brodes81, I run a hump day giveaway that is 1 week long. This week, I am giving away a Bryce Harper jersey. That's right. It's so simple. At the top of my Twitter page, there is a pinned tweet that explains the rules. Follow me, follow my other Twitter at Brodes Media, and retweet the tweet. From there, you are entered to win. And every Wednesday, there's a new giveaway. So make sure you are fully engaged. Thank you all so much for the crazy support to this point, and enjoy the show. Whoa. Okay. Wow. Did we just get hit in the face real damn hard? The Miami Heat wanted to make a statement, and that's absolutely what they did. They just smacked the Sixers, punched them in the mouth, and said, "Fuck you!" That's exactly what happened, and you got to tip their cap because they executed their game plan exactly how they wanted to. Let's set the facts straight, though. Because the Sixers lost, this does not mean that they don't know how to play basketball anymore. This does not mean that they are a full-on disgrace. This does not mean that they are now going to fall in the playoffs any sooner than they would have without this basketball game. One team is trying to solidify the number one overall seed, knowing that they have to win one basketball game when they have the Orlando Magic left on their schedule twice, when Joel Embiid is ill. There's two totally different mentalities. One team is, I'm ready to lock up the number one seed and move forward and rest and just wait for the playoffs to start. The other team is trying to solidify the number 4 overall seed so maybe they can get where they want to in the standings so they can escape other teams and not have to play certain opponents later on in the playoffs. The intensity for both of these squads are in different spots. Also, it didn't seem like Doc Rivers wanted to show any sort of hands, any sort of his cards, considering he put Ben Simmons on Duncan Robinson instead of showing Jimmy Butler what it would be like to have Ben Simmons on him. Now, that doesn't discredit the effort level. I am upset. I am very disappointed on how they came out. To hear Doc Rivers after the game use a phrase like this, "We weren't ready to play." Well, come on. I mean, that does bother me. How are you not ready to play? You're going on the road. You know that you're going to play a feisty team, a team with an attitude, a team with an edge, and you let them walk all over you. They scored 38 points in the first quarter. Jimmy Butler's knocking down all of his damn threes. Defensively, I don't know what you were doing. And hey, Joel, if you were going to get to Miami to play this game, please tell me how that is what you provided for us. That was awful, dude. I'd rather you stay at home. I'd rather you do anything else than play basketball if that's what you were going to give us work ethic-wise. You got your ass handed to you by Bam on the glass. You had your first rebound in the second half. In the third quarter was your first rebound. And when I heard Mark Zumoff say that, I was almost so damn flustered and so damn confused. I had to check 3 different apps, not just the ESPN app. I went to the NBA app. I went to the Score app. I went to every app possible. I went to Yahoo app. I had to make damn sure that that was real because I was almost blown away that actually happened. And it actually happened. So for you to travel, to get to Miami, to play that game, and that is what you provide for us, I don't know what your decision-making was. I don't know what made you feel that way because that was a really horrible performance out of Joel Embiid. He finished 3 of 9 with 6 points. I got to give credit to Miami. They wanted to beat this thing up. They wanted to play with some fight to them, and they sure did. What Haslem did, that was planned, okay? For Haslem to go in there, get the standing ovation from the fans, score a bucket, and from there, end up getting in Dwight Howard's face. Now, to be fair, What started that was Dwight Howard on the offensive side, and he was somewhat yanking Haslem down. Haslem fell on the court, and you can realize that he understood and acknowledged that, okay, it's going to be like that, huh? But I do believe that that was planned of, hey, Haslem, be tough out there. Hey, make sure you piss these guys off. Bring that extra attitude. And I don't necessarily knock it. There was a moment in that first half where I was fired up, just ready for postseason ball. I even tweeted that out. I am so ready for the playoffs. And not because of I was proud of the way the Sixers were playing by any means. It was just because the energy of a basketball game. They might have got their asses whooped, but compared to the last 2 weeks, that was probably the most entertained I've been. Even though the Sixers looked terrible, I'm just saying, from personal fun and just from personal entertainment, when that was happening, when Joel Embiid and Ariza was happening, that was the most fun I've had watching Sixers basketball in quite some time, because there was passion on the floor and there was actually a team on the other side that wanted to play ball too. The problem is the Sixers didn't want to play ball, clearly. I also had to hear Tobias Harris say after the game, it looked like they were the team closing out the 1 seed. How does that happen, though? Why is that occurring, though? It shouldn't. If you lost, you lost. That's fine. For it to get handed to you and get your ass kicked, that upsets me. And even Doc, with a little bit of some humor involved, he's laughing about it afterwards to some of the media members on the Zoom call. We got our asses kicked. That's what I take away from this. Doc! Come on. A little more sense of urgency, huh? A little bit more seriousness to you. Close the door. Dwight Howard's going to end up getting kicked out of next game because of the technical. And now you have Joel Embiid on a back-to-back after that slop. He clearly wasn't prepared to play. He's clearly not ready. You could see his body language. I watched it was a timeout that was about to occur. And they were bringing the chairs out to the court where Doc was going to explain what they were going to do after the timeout and after the commercial break. And you can see Joel Embiid so out of it. You could see him physically not engaged, and he just looked defeated. Why even be out there? And speaking of catching things like that, I'll tell you what. There was this possession where, and this was in the first half, Tyrese Maxey's dribbling the basketball up. He's yelling at Shake Milton to go to the other side of the floor. Shake Milton isn't even listening. Dwight Howard's coming up to set the pick. Dwight Howard screaming at Tyrese Maxey to do something else. And Doc Rivers is on the sidelines. You can see his hands from side to side like, what are you doing? And then he ends up putting his hands over the top of his head in disgust of, I cannot believe this is the play we're running. How is nobody on the same page right now? And it ends up being a forced jump shot from about 10 feet out from Tyrese Maxey by the baseline after he drove, which was insanely contested. He ended up hitting the iron, and then the possession went the other way for the Miami Heat. So, I mean, it just sums up the night, that possession in particular. I don't understand what Ariza was doing unless it was all just planned. It was all a mindset of let's get in their heads, let's piss them off, let's be outrageous. There's no way in hell that Joel Embiid tried to fall on the ground and land on Ariza's ankle. In what universe would that be methodical from Joel Embiid? And I thought after the game, Mark Jackson on the postgame show had me pissing my pants because he was not happy. They showed a clip at halftime of Joel Embiid trying to explain himself to Trevor Ariza. And Mark Jackson, what the hell are you doing? Why are you explaining to him what happened? You're Joel Embiid. And I think that's so damn true. If Joel was talking to LeBron, different story. And even I don't even love it that much, to be honest with you. But if it was LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, if it was a top dog in this league, then it's a different story. And once again, I don't even fully love it, but I can at least recognize it then in a different way than this. Dude, you're talking about a low-life bench piece at this point. You're talking about just a random bench guy in the... You're Joel Embiid. You're an MVP of the league. Play with some swagger. Play with some attitude. You don't need to justify what went down. Now, we don't have all the context. Maybe there's more to it. I don't know. But to some degree, I'm looking at it as if, Joel, dude, you got to play with an edge. You got to say, screw you. You're a jag-off. I don't give a shit about you. Give me the basketball. The Heat all night, though, they suffocated Joel Embiid. Whether it was double-teaming him or facing the post. They did it all, man. Fronting the post-up game, bringing the double team. And I'll tell you what. Once again, if you don't think Ben Simmons standing in the dunker spot had anything to do with this, well, then it's a shame. Because it absolutely did. The fact that the Miami Heat could bring help and absolutely bring another guy and bring that intensity towards Joel Embiid from Ben Simmons' dunker spot, it absolutely can happen. This Heat team is very smart, and they know what they're doing with Ben, who does not attack. They played it perfectly with the Ben Simmons game, and it's something that is going to happen. I tried telling you a billion times. This is going to happen. The way that they were fronting the post up, the way that they were executing the double teams, it matters that Ben Simmons is just hanging around in the dunker spot. And the way and the timeliness of those double teams were perfect. Don't allow Joel Embiid to have time to see where he's going to go. Pounce on him quickly. Get on him very fast so it can't process through his head what exactly he's going to find out by the perimeter. The way that you do it, the different layers that you throw the double team on him and things of that nature, it's making Joel Embiid very uncomfortable, and he's not that sharp, and the help from the teammates were not there as well. Ben Simmons' flaw showed its ugly head once again. And please stop trying to tell me that it is not an issue, because Ben Simmons is a great passer and a great defensive player of the year. You know, I brought this up during Coffee with Brodes the other day. When you watch Julius Randle play, it should piss you off that this man added 5 skills to his game before Ben Simmons could only add 1. You know, I brought that up and someone said, well, the difference is Ben came into the league already so damn solid that the jump in Julius Randle's game is naturally going to pop more because there was such more room to grow. I'm not denying that. Ben Simmons is by far a better player than Julius Randle in my eyes, and the ceiling is by far still with Ben Simmons. Here's my point. One man worked on 5 parts of his game. The other has to work on 1 and won't. So when you see a player like Julius Randle in X amount of years take such a monstrous leap in his game, yet we're still in the same exact position as we were 3 postseasons ago, 2 postseasons ago. Last postseason he didn't play because of the back injury and they ended up getting swept. But you get my point. We're still having the same exact dialogue, the same exact conversation about Ben in that dunker spot than we had for years. How about this, by the way? And look, I know that Ben Simmons and his defense on Jimmy Butler changes the game. Ben, I'm not taking away anything about this Ben Simmons defense. That doesn't justify the fact that we can't change the topic or change the narrative about what he does offensively, which is nothing. And it's impacting the team and impacting Joel Embiid. I'd be pissed if I was him. Here we go again. You know, I'll tip my cap to Tobias. I'm not telling you it was a perfect game for Tobias Harris. He might have had some poor decisions and whatnot throughout, but he played hard. He did everything he could. You can look around and be upset with a lot of guys. With Tobias, I'm not telling you it was like the strongest effort in the world, but I can't knock Tobias, and I can at least respect what he put out there on the court compared to pretty much everybody else. So the zone whooped their ass again. I was told that Brett Brown's the only idiot in the history of the world that didn't know how to solve a zone. Here's the thing. This team is better equipped to actually beat the zone than last year's team. How do you beat the zone? You get guys to shoot the damn basketball. You get guys to make your shots. Well, then you would say, well, then it goes on the players for actually doing it. Huh. Oh, is that how it works? Okay. Thank you for explaining to me how it works. You're right. It is on the players making the shots. I've only been saying that for however many years now, dissecting this team every single damn night. The Heat do this to a lot of teams, and there's a reason why it's successful. It's not easy all the time. I mean, in theory, it's easy. Make your shots. You're going to get wide open threes. It's not necessarily always easy, though. There is a challenge to it. There's a reason why Miami does have the impact with their zone. But this team looked absolutely lost, and there was no real adjustment. You know, this coach in Doc Rivers lately, I don't think he's been coaching to win. I think he's been taking the easy and the glide. Now, there's a difference between me saying, you know, there's time, and it's just the NBA regular season. I get it when I say it, when we analyze. When you're the coach, though, your team feeds off of you. You making that statement, me making that statement, those statements are two completely different statements. Doc Rivers, I don't think he's been coaching to close the door, and the team is clearly following the lead of the head coach, which to me, I haven't loved the backstretch of Doc Rivers to this point. And I know it's a hot take out there, but one of my big concerns outside of Ben Simmons, my second concern is Doc Rivers and the way that he's going to coach this thing. Just keeping it 100. That's all. Just going to keep it 100. Ultimately, it comes down to the players. They got to make their shots. They got to defend better. They can't get their asses kicked on the glass the way that they did. They got to shoot more threes. I mean, you're not even taking threes. You're not even taking threes early in this game. I mean, I'm watching. I'm like, how much time is left? They have, 5 3-point shot attempts? This is a disgrace. It goes on the players way more than the coaches. I'm not saying that. But there is this element of the rotation that's disgraceful. Once again, keeping the full bench. You're getting absolutely waxed, and you can't do anything. So let's go to an all-bench lineup. Now, to be fair, if you want to play the other side, your starters weren't getting it done. But in what universe should we go to an all-bench lineup? How is that going to turn things around? If anything, if you've been paying attention to this team, it's probably going to do the exact opposite. Now, you did not have Matisse Thybulle. I'm not telling you that Duncan Robinson. I'm thinking of the Ben Simmons thing on Duncan Robinson and Matisse Thybulle on Robinson, Jimmy Butler with Ben Simmons and all. I'm just playing it out in my head. Losing a defender like that and not having him available for this game is obviously something that is different for your team. There's definitely an angle here of Doc not wanting to show his cards to the Miami Heat on what they are going to do. That's what happens when you know that it's possible that you see this team. And I would love to see this team in the second round, no doubt about it. Would I rather see the Knicks? Yeah, probably. I think this team is more equipped, more talent, better coached than the New York Knicks. So, yeah, give me the New York Knicks any day of the week because I think that would give the Sixers a better chance to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But at the same time, I'm just talking pure entertainment. Imagine the feistiness, the fire, the passion between these two teams and the hatred that's already there. And with Jimmy Butler and maybe Ben Simmons, a lot of the Jimmy Butler drama had to deal with Brett Brown, but there was definitely an element of Ben Simmons as well, and the fact that Ben would be guarding Jimmy Butler majority of the time and all up in his grill and in his face and whatnot. And I'm sure that Jimmy Butler wouldn't be cashing in the amount of threes he did early in this game. Jimmy Butler sucks at three-point shooting. Jimmy Butler is having an egregious season drilling those shots, and then here he comes just stepping into three. That won't happen, all right? That won't happen. This was somewhat of an anomaly, it seems, from the Jimmy Butler experience and how wide open their shots were getting, but it comes down to your team not being ready to play, and it definitely stung. Joel Embiid, 3 of 9 for 6 points. That was trash. I hated everything I saw out of Joel Embiid in this night, and I just feel like if that's the case, man, how do you not recognize that the better idea would be to shut it down? Was it because he wanted to play against Jimmy Butler? Did he think his mentality was going to be, I want to close this thing out for my team? Well, you couldn't have been closer to the complete opposite. It couldn't have been more of a disaster than what it was out of the big man. It's just crazy. So once again, let's look at it objectively. There's a lot of reasons why things played out the way that it did today. Doc Rivers did not coach to win the game, and he did not want to show Miami and Eric Spoelstra exactly what they have planned for the postseason defensively. One team is trying to secure the 1 seed and knowing that there's not as much pressure on the 76ers. Oh, we have the Magic coming up. We could probably win one of those games. Like, that's definitely, I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's how it should be, but that is a part of the human emotion during this game. One team wants to punch you in the mouth, and they did with their toughness, and they had a game plan. They executed it. They're also trying to maneuver their way through the standings to not have to face a certain team. So one team had a lot more to play for than the other team. This doesn't mean the Sixers blow. This doesn't mean that the Sixers can't win a 7-game series against the Miami Heat. Like, I can't believe what I'm saying, although I can believe it, because when NBA playoffs come around, the game-to-game assessment, you can break down the game and not go to an extreme. If one game goes a certain way, wow, oh man, the Sixers are never going to be able to do this. And then the next game happens. It's a complete different outcome. The game plays out in its own unique personality that is completely different from what we saw in game one. And then the whole storyline changes again. And to a degree, that's the fun part about breaking down a 7-game series. But I do think people overstep the boundaries of, well, if one thing happens in game one, that means for the rest of the series, whatever that is, it's going to happen every single time, and that team's never going to be able to counter. It's like, no, there's so many counter moves. There's so many counter attacks. There's so many better games. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And we're starting to naturally see that after a game like this. But this is kind of what happens, too, when you go through all these games of playing the Bucks without Ben and Joel, and you get annihilated, and then playing, I don't know, the Hawks without Trae Young, without DeAndre Hunter, without other guys. And then you play the Chicago Bulls without Vucevic, without Zach LaVine. And then you play the Pelicans without Brandon Ingram, without any of these other guys out there, Zion Williamson and Steven Adams. And now you play a team that's ready to seriously go out there and give it all, and you just didn't match the intensity, clearly, which is pretty brutal. But I'll tell you where the intensity is there. That's at D. Simone Jewelers. It is my jewelers, and I will never go to another jeweler again in my life, and you should make the same decision. I guarantee you it'll be the best decision of your life. I went there for my fiance's engagement ring, and you should have seen her face when I went down on one knee and popped the question. She could not believe the size of the rock, and let me tell you something. The price of the rock, extremely manageable, not overpriced, and I can't thank D. Simone Jewelers more for what they did for me. I went in there and they treated me like family, not a customer. Hey, Brodes, what's going on, man? How are you? You're part of the crew. You're part of D. Simone Jewelers, and they educate you. It's not all about sale tactics and them trying to make a quick buck on you. They teach you about the product. They educate you. They show you everything. They give you tools like a magnifying glass. It's not an actual magnifying glass, but it's for jewelry, and they show you the diamonds. It's such an awesome experience there. They're located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They are a family-owned business with over 40 years of experience. They were located in Jewelers Row, but as I alluded to, they're now in South Jersey in Haddonfield, New Jersey. I've sent so many family members and friends in their direction, and I get the same response back every time. Brodes, they are incredible. And you will know exactly what I mean when you go in there and you say that Brodes sent me. So how about it? How about it? Here's one little noticeable fact there at the end, and I'm not breaking news here, but why I believe that some of that physicality and some of those technical fouls were predetermined, what Eric Spoelstra did at the end, and I respect it. I'm not mad about it. If I was a Heat fan, I would love every second of it. If Doc Rivers and the Sixers ever did this, I would love every second of it. It is a statement. But to keep all the starters out there for as long as they did, they're trying to flip you the bird. They really are. They're flipping you the middle finger and running you out of Miami and spitting in your face and leaving you with the black eye. Keeping the starters in, it's telling you something. I love the fact that just from a competitor standpoint, it adds context. It adds to the storylines. If they do see one another again, how are things going to get handled? Will Doc do the same thing if they ever have the advantage, or if they're ever in the position to do something very similar? I respect the decision, and I like the attitude part of it. It made it more, like I said, I hated the outcome, but there was so much involved in this game just from a fiery standpoint that, I've missed that over the last 2 weeks. So I can't believe it. Makes me sick to say that, and it makes me feel guilty inside. It's not a pleasant feeling, but I weirdly enjoyed that game just because of how much Heat, no pun intended, was involved out there on the floor. Watching Eric Spoelstra make that decision to kind of spit in the face of the Sixers, fascinating. Fascinating. All right, we are going to rock the Anytime Hotline right now. Listen to your calls, react to how you felt after the game. The Anytime Hotline is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. They are home to your solar experts. If you're looking for solar, if you're looking for water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, tree removals, electrical upgrades, you name it, Orbit Energy and Power is the place to go. They're located in Mantua, New Jersey. Their phone number and their website is also located in the description. All right, let's kick it off here on the Anytime Hotline. Here we go.
Oh, what a nightmare. Wasn't even watchable from the start. Look, nobody even cared. And I know Joel Embiid didn't have his best night with this illness thing going on. But, dude, if you're going to be out there, you got to give me more than that. You're getting outplayed, out-rebounded. Come on. No, we got another game tomorrow against the Magic, but who cares? Like, this was a game you could have made a statement, and you fell on your face.
You definitely did. And it's weird to be mad at Joel, right? Because without Joel Embiid, we're not even in the spot that we're at now. We're talking MVP level, yada, yada, yada. We've all witnessed all the games to this point. I don't think I need to sell you how great Joel Embiid has been on the floor with his footwork, with his back to the basket, with the fronting up. I mean, it's been incredible, right? It's weird to be mad at him, but I am upset with what that was. He's got to look himself in the mirror and recognize that either I am not capable of playing in my current form, I am very sick, I am very ill, and I'm not prepared to play, but don't force it. And I think he just wanted to force it. I don't know if the Jimmy Butler factor played a role. I don't know what it was, but the attempt to play, it should just have not happened. I hate to think this, but there's a little bit of me that does wonder, what if, because no Dwight Howard, and we don't know what this Joel Embiid situation is, although I would imagine they're going to play him because they know how intense and serious this win is on the second half of a back-to-back. But I'll tell you what, if this team does lose tomorrow against the Magic, and I don't anticipate that happening, but I'm just saying, hear me out on this hypothetical. If it is the case where we see the Magic beat you, oh my God. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine with that stress level on Sunday, which is now a 7 o'clock game? They finally put the time up there. It was to be determined forever. It actually knocked me off an hour on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm hosting 4 to 7 p.m. on Sunday, leading you into Sixers basketball. I don't want it to be a serious game. I don't want to lead you into a game that matters. I want it to be a useless game. I was supposed to be on 4 to 8, though. And real quickly, on Saturday, I will be on from 7 to 10 p.m. So if you want to check me out on The Fanatic, 97.5 The Fanatic, Saturday and Sunday, those are the times. Just throwing it in there. There's your plug. I would be shitting my pants if we had to sit through a Sunday game, 7 o'clock, where you had how many opportunities? You would have had a handful of chances to finish it off, and nope. And now you're waiting to the very last second. And as much as we think worst case scenario, this team is different. This team has been different all season long. So naturally, I would think, like my gut feel naturally, like, oh, that's totally going to happen. But this team has proved us wrong so many times this year. This is the first time the starting five looked that dazed, that confused. Some of that had to do with the Miami Heat. Some of that had to do with circumstances. Both teams are going to be in totally different mindsets in a 7-game series in the second round compared to when one team is in one spot and the other team is in another spot in the regular season. And Joel Embiid's health would be different. I mean, there's so much that would change when we talk about the ball tipping off in the second round if they do see each other and they do square off. Just saying.
That's an atrocious game. Never in it from the start. I mean, what are we doing on offense? Like, we're not moving the basketball. We're playing a ton of ISO, and we just do not look great on offense right now. And we need to figure out what we need to do on offense come postseason ball. Because Ben Simmons in the half court just sits there and sucks. And Embiid was not in this game at all. He needs to freaking go against these big teams and go down low and pound the ball and dunk the ball.
Well, it's not easy because you're getting double teamed as soon as the ball gets into his hands. And the Sixers had trouble even getting him on spots, certain sets. If you're going to run a specific set from the elbow or a little bit inside or let's say, you run your set from the top of the key, that's probably a little bit easier to get Joel Embiid the ball, obviously, out by the perimeter. But if you want to get on the low block where you want to start an offensive set, they were having trouble even establishing the first pass to allow that to happen. And when it did, you don't have time and space to do exactly what you did, which is bang down low and bang two bodies because there's 4 hands in the mix. There's 2 guys coming, and they're going to put all the pressure on you to make a quick decision. You don't have time. They're forcing the ball out of your hands. That's something that you're going to see to this point. Every single possession. Teams are not going to allow Joel Embiid to beat you. It is going to be stressful. It is going to be frustrating. He's going to have to keep his emotions in check because it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of pressure involved, and I just really hope that the maturity of Joel Embiid we witness because it's going to have to take a lot of mental fortitude to get over that hump, and there's going to be poor possessions. There's going to be turnovers. There's going to be fast breaks the other way. You might not make the best pass, the best play every time, but don't allow that to impact the next possession because every time we run the ball through you, which, breaking news here, that is going to happen a lot, there's going to be an opponent that's bringing the double team on you, whether that's Ben Simmons' guy, whether it's somebody else's guy, every possession. The other team will not allow Joel Embiid to beat them. So Joel's going to have to mentally prepare, and the Sixers are going to have some counterattacks for when whatever the alternative isn't working. They need a plan B. And quite frankly, they're going to need a plan C as well, and maybe even a plan D. Where, hey, this isn't working, that's not working. All right, hey, let's go to the next one. Guys are going to have to hit their shots, though. Going to have to move the basketball well. Whew, I can't wait. I'm stoked. That game put me back in the mindset of playoff basketball. It's been a while. Like I said, it's been a long time since I felt that way.
What's up, bros? I wish Joel Embiid would have drove more against Bam and Adebayo or whoever the hell that was defending Trevor Ariza, bro. That guy, Trevor Ariza, bro, he is washed, bro. That guy should not be in the league, bro. But I think Embiid should have drove more this game. I feel like Tobias Harris was the only offense for the Sixers, really. You had Steph Curry making shots occasionally and Danny Green making shots occasionally, but it was just like lackluster offense for the Sixers, so they didn't step with their offense. I mean, the Heat are a good defensive team. They put a lot of heart and hustle, but I feel that they just needed to drive the ball more and just get more fouls, but this officiating crew always F's over the Sixers.
Yeah, the officiating crew was brutal, and Tyrone Johnson of the Fanatic had me pissing my pants. He was tweeting all day long, like, oh, tonight's going to be brutal. He's tweeting. I was just laughing, but he's not wrong. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a tough day at the office when you see that referee and crew out there. But that wasn't the difference in this game, of course. While Ben Simmons did pick up a 4th personal foul rather earlier in the game, I'm not saying insanely early, but there was a decent amount of time left in the game. When you see Ben Simmons with the 4th and on, you just see some of the horrendous calls. It is what it is. They lost the game because there was no heart. They lost the game because they did not feel like raising the bar of fight against the Miami Heat, and that's really what it came down to. In terms of like, hey, you got to drive more on Bam. You got to drive more with whatever, Trevor Ariza in the lane when he fell on his ankle, whatever the case may be. They made it so that couldn't happen. They made it so you would not have the possibility to do it. That comes from the game plan of the Miami Heat and the execution of it as well. They made it a living hell for Joel Embiid, and that's what teams are going to do. You don't think squads recognize that? There's a game plan. There's a blueprint out there to limit. You can never stop some of these players. I mean, today, Joel Embiid was stopped. I'm talking about a 7-game series. Like, I don't think, even if Joel had one game like this, you don't keep Joel Embiid to 6 points. You're not going to keep Joel Embiid to 3 and 9 no matter what you do. All right, you find ways like Kevin Durant, James Harden. They might not have 35 points every single playoff game. They might have the hiccup, and then it's okay. As a competitor, as a top dog in this league, how am I going to assess my game and make sure that I can't have this happen again? And then they rebound, and they find their groove in the next game, and they go to the film room, and they figure out this is the spots I need to get on the floor to make sure that they can't do what they did to me last game. with this blueprint, though, I lost my train of thought for a second. I apologize. It's now on display. It's the same thing of, and I mean, it's not rocket science. Double team a big man that essentially runs their team. And you also want to know why this offense looks this way? Because you mentioned, well, Tobias Harris is the only one. Well, I don't know if you mentioned that or if it was the caller before that. Regardless, Tobias Harris was brought up. Half-court sets. When you talk about the slowed down game, and I tried stressing this when it was game 30, game 40, half-court sets. You're not going to see LA Fitness style of basketball that you see in regular season when it comes down to crunch time play. We're in crunch time play against another team that will be involved in the postseason. Why does the offense look that way? Why do you only look at Tobias Harris as the guy that was able to operate anything offensively? Well, because there's a difference when you talk about half-court basketball. And oh, by the way, your point guard doesn't shoot the basketball, and he stands in the dunker spot. That matters. Unfortunately, that matters. And some fail to see that because all they want to do is praise the other areas, which you should. But, you know, it matters. It matters. And by the way, you know, forget it. There's no reason to go through the loophole of Ben Simmons. Here's what I'll say. Big names are headlining this weekend's UFC 262 card. There will be no shortage of action. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC, has a heavyweight offer for this weekend's fight with 100-1 odds. One fighter will be walking away with the belt. Will you walk away with the cash? Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 when you bet on a main card fighter to win. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code Brodes to turn $1 into $100 on a select main card fighters. For a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, everyone. We'll see if they can get their goal accomplished tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.